Courtship is the most defining time for most marriages. When you're in courtship, don't just concentrate on the enjoyment, the trips, the vacations. Also talk about very important things about your marriage. When you're about going into marriage, is the best time to define how your marriage will look like. Talk about some very important things. The first thing you should talk about is try to ask him what he thinks about marriage. What is his take about a wife? Most men will prefer stay-home wives that actually the main thing they should do is take care of themselves, take care of their homes. They should be able to tell you that intention, and if that is not your style, be able to explain to him that that's not what I want, or that's not how I want it, and then both of you come to a compromise. If you cannot come to a compromise, then you might realize that that marriage is going to have a problem when it comes to that. The second thing is, ask him his best means of communication. There are people who have learned different ways of communicating over time, and it's difficult for them to actually bond with you, not because they don't communicate, but because their mood of communication with yours doesn't go together. For example, there are people who, after maybe if they are angry, they prefer getting some time first before they can talk about it. There are other people who prefer talking about it at that time where the problem is. You should try to know his style of communication, and he too should try to know what you know as communication. Then both of you come to a compromise. Put some guards to your communication. Maybe we don't sleep in separate rooms no matter how angry we are. We don't leave the house no matter how angry you are. You don't talk to me standing no matter how angry you are. Those are rules in helping you communicate in your relationship. The third thing is, ask him the number of children he wants to get. That particular aspect is very important. It looks minute, but it's very important. There are people who love a large family, who love many children, and maybe you are the type that you don't want to give birth much. You just want you don't want noise. You want the small family, you and 2 children, you, your husband and 2 children, and all of that. You should be able to talk about it now. Ask him those questions. What do you want? And tell him what you want, and so both of you can come to a compromise of what should be. Another thing is how you treat your family members in your marriage. Is it like you allow your family members to come stay with you and maybe be with you? Maybe the husband brings his sister and you bring your brother and you're staying together in the house. Is that allowed? If it's not allowed, talk about it now, because you might be thinking it's very okay, it's very regular, but the other person might not like it, might not be what he wants. So talk about it. If there are no family members intruding our home, then let it be like that. You don't bring family, he doesn't bring family, and it becomes like that. Also, for the fact that maybe if you have a strife, you have a problem in the marriage, do you take it to your mom or take it to his mom and all of that? How do you solve problems in your marriage? Who should you invite when the problems becomes hard? And all of those things. Talk about it in courtship. The next thing is, talk about who you can report him to. There are some men that are not controlled. They are uncontrollable. They don't have anybody they are accountable to. They don't have anybody they fear. Then when you get to know somebody and he doesn't have anybody he fears, that's the wrong person to get into marriage with. Always know who you can report them to, who they fear, who they hear when you say, I will report you to this person. They are going to panic. Who is their panic button? Always learn to ask him that. Know it before you get into marriage. Or maybe you might be frustrated right in there because you don't anticipate only when the marriage is good. There are times when disagreements come. How do you solve it? And who do you run to? Those are very important. Out of the many, I decided to bring this moment, not to make the video too long. Maybe in subsequent times, I'm going to make more of this kind of videos on what to discuss in your courtship, and so that it's going to guide you into the things that you're supposed to, come to a compromise with before you get married. Very important. I love you so much, and I am ready to see you in my next video. Shalom.